What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and today we don't have this bottle right here. This is just to be in the video, but this is Buzzards Roost. This is straight bourbon whiskey finished with Toasted French Oak. This is batch number 2. This was a sample sent to me by Buzzards Roost. I'm excited to try this. Love what's going on in this bottle over here. This is the barrel strength whiskey, but this is apparently batch number 2. Batch number 1 was a little bit different, but we are going to talk about that during the Bourbon Bomb of the Week, so make sure you stick around for all that. We're going to learn about toasted and charred and staves versus barrel, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you stick around for the Bourbon Bomb of the Week. But everybody knows before we get started on all of that, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. Spicy. So that other bottle that I was showing you, this was just to show you what like Buzzards Roost look like. So if you can find it on the shelf or you see it on the shelf, that's the bottle that you're looking for. This is obviously just a sample sent by them. I appreciate them for that, but it never affects my opinion on the whiskey inside. They also send these one-off sheets, which is absolutely fantastic. Overview, processed, tasting notes, why toasted French oak, but most importantly, the product details. This is a 4-year MGP bourbon, but it's also finished in their proprietary barrels for 6 months to a year. And then there are French oak staves added. They are toasted French oak staves. That is going to be important. It's 75% corn, 21% rye, 4% malted barley. This is coming in at 100 proof with an SRP of $95, and it's getting released right here in March, guys. As you know, here at Bourbon of the Week, we put it through the gauntlet: price, taste, drinkability. We're going to start with drinkability. How much ethanol kick is there for 100 proof? And here's the thing. The toasted French oak staves are going to add a spiciness to this. That's the point. I don't want you to confuse that with any type of ethanol. Mix that process with 21% rye coming out of MGP. This is going to give you a little bit of a kick, but again, it's not an ethanol kick. Let's take one more sip and we'll give you a score. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that this drinks super under its proof, because I don't think it does. I think 100 proof is right where it should drink. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. When you're looking for a 100 proof whiskey that drinks 100 proof, that's what you're going to get. And this is giving you exactly that. It's the proofs that are like 120 that drink like 130 or 90 that drink like 100 that really bother me. Proofs that drink under their proof, they're phenomenal as well. But sometimes you lose a little bit of flavor when it comes to that particular part of the process of removing the ethanol, but yet also removing some flavor. So for 100 proof, they're obviously diluting this down to 100 proof. I think this drinks right around its proof. We give it a 7.0 if it drinks right at its proof. Maybe I'd go a hair under. Maybe I'd say like 97, 98. So let's go a hair above 7. Let's just go like 7.09. I don't think it's quite at a 7.1 yet. But listen, when this bottle gives you all of that 100 proof ethanol, it's going to give you 100 proof of taste as well. And the problem is people drink 80 proof whiskey and they drink it over and over and over again, and they start to realize there's not as much flavor behind it. Obviously, it can be an easy sipper at 80 proof. You can drink 6 of them, whatever you have to do. But I'm telling you, the reason that people drink higher and higher proof whiskeys is because they can start to tolerate the ethanol kick and they start to fall in love with the flavor profile. So again, 100 proof, definitely there, but you're also getting 100 proof worth of flavor profile in this, and let's go over exactly what I'm getting. Listen, I mentioned since the beginning there's a spiciness on this glass, and I'm not going to deny that. With that 21% rye and that toasted French oak staves, you do get that spiciness. You get that clove, you get that black pepper. But let me not put off the sweet tooth here, right? I'm a sweet tooth guy myself. I love my whiskey sweet. There's still a sweet component to this. The vanillas stand out because of that toasted French oak. The caramels are extra caramelized. They're like a little bit darker. That dark brown sugar note is on this. There's like a peanutty, they call it almondy flavor, something like that going on in this glass as well. And then again, it balances itself out at the end with the finish on this, which I think is a pretty long finish. I won't tell you it's forever, but it's definitely a very good finish on this. And there's that barrel char influence again, just coming back to that toasted French oak staves. The one thing that they mentioned multiple times in this, as well as another paper that they sent me, is the toasted French oak staves are supposed to remove some of those tannins. And the tannins are the one thing that I don't love about particular glasses of whiskey. I feel like it can be an exceptional glass of whiskey, and then the tannins at the end really turn me off to that particular glass. This one, though, it does get rid of those tannins. Again, this is only 4.5, maybe 5 years old, plus the toasted French oak staves. So this isn't a super old whiskey. It's only 100 proof. So everything that's going on in this glass screams that it should taste younger. It should drink younger. It should drink more grainy. But whatever they did in this particular release, it worked, and I like it a lot. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is the greatest whiskey that I've ever tasted. I am going to tell you that I enjoy this glass. I am going to tell you that I will probably pick up a bottle. We'll talk about price here in a little bit. But when it comes to taste, I think it's a really good flavor profile. I don't think there's anything off-putting. If this is what you like, and we're going to compare it one time to one other MGP Toasted French Oak, you probably know what I'm talking about, but we'll do that during our Bourbon Bomb of the Week when we talk about French Oak Staves versus the French Oak containers or the French Oak barrels and how that's a different process. But for this, when it comes to taste, I got to give it, I'm going to go low 8s on this. I think it's a really good glass of whiskey. Let's go like 8.13 when it comes to taste on this. Now here's where I'm going to come out and hit you with the honest truth. I do think $95 is just too expensive for this. I got to be honest with you. I mean, we're talking about 4.5 to 5 years old. They tell you the $10 per year rule, so that's 50 bucks. The Toasted French Oak Staves can add a little bit of value to it, but I don't think it adds $45 worth of value to it. And again, no offense, I say this all the time. I think MGP has a fantastic catalog with some fantastic whiskey in it, and I love so much. I mean, you can look on my shelves and see how much MGP I have, but this is another product that's already been repeated for a cheaper price. So I do think that when you talk about competition in this particular field, we're talking about something that's a little bit already done at a cheaper price, and I don't think that this stands out to be an exceptional whiskey that's better than what's already been done before. So that being said, I think I would like this much better in like the $60, $65 range personally. So I do think 95 is just a little bit high for me, but let's take one more sip and we'll talk about it a little bit more. I mean, I might as well grab it because we are going to compare them during our Bourbon Bomb of the Week, but this is Penelope, this is Architect, this is French Oak Staves, this is MGP, this is probably in the 4 to 5 year old range. And I got to tell you, this is a $65 bottle of whiskey versus a $95 bottle of whiskey. It just doesn't add up to me. So when it comes to price on this, I don't love it. I don't love it at $95. I think they are pricing themselves out of the market at that, but let me take one more sip and see if there's something I'm missing. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good glass of whiskey. I think right now consumers are having a tough time spending money, especially on hobbies. So for this to come out at $95, when you see all the other stuff that's really good on the shelf for $45, $55, $65, it's tough to pull out $100 for a 4-year-old MGP product. And I'm the last person that likes to say those kind of things. If this was like crazy exceptional and they were doing something completely different that I've never tried before, maybe, but this again, it's, as people say, another MGP product, and it's a good MGP product. Everything at MGP puts out is good. It's just, I don't know if it's worth $95. I'm going to go down in the 5s for this. I'm going to go like high 5s though, probably like 5.82 when it comes to price on this. 95 seems excessive, but let's try them next to each other. So while we sip these two next to each other, I'm going to talk about charring versus toasted. And I got to be honest with you, I'm still learning. I did a video on this a while ago, but I'm still kind of learning what all of these things mean. And this is Toasted French Oak Staves. So this is a stave. This is literally, let me grab one. I have one laying around here somewhere. So this is a stave, and this is actually what's used to make the barrels, right? These are the individual pieces that they put together to make the barrels. Now, when you use staves, you use toasted. So this would be French oak. They would toast these, and toasting is a little bit different than charring, and let me tell you how after I take this sip of Penelope. So charring is when you take extreme heat for a very low period of time and you just basically burn the crap out of the inside of the barrel. And what this does is, I mean, you can get very scientific-y into this if you want, but there are different chemical reactions that go on. It's like alligator skin. I mean, it's burnt. Imagine like you put a marshmallow in a fire, right? You can roast a marshmallow, you can toast a marshmallow, it gets nice golden brown color, right? A little bit mushy in the middle, but it's still all intact. Or you can, I mean, you can char a marshmallow. You can just put it in the fire and then you get that black piece on the outside that you can physically pull off the marshmallow. That's how I like to eat them personally. But that's charring versus toasting in like a simple concept. And again, you can get scientific-y with it and you can look it up on your own. I'm not a scientist by any means, but the charring is going to allow a different chemical process to happen versus the toasting. It's going to give out different chemicals, different alcohols and sugars are going to react to something that's charred than something that's toasted. And in this particular case, they're telling me they can toast these up to 18 hours versus something that gets charred. I mean, you're talking seconds, 5, 10, 15 seconds at extreme heat. Go watch the videos of the people that show you charring barrels. They're charring, it's just straight black on the the inside of the barrels. And again, we're talking about French oak staves being put in these. So these are toasted, lightly toasted. I mean, it's 18 hours and it's still toasted, but it's toasted instead of charred. And these staves are being put into the barrels to age that way, rather than the entire barrel being a French oak barrel that's charred or anything like that. So as you can see, that's going to affect things in different ways, but this is what a stave is. That's what charring is versus toasting. And the reason that I'm still learning things, I kind of knew all of this going into this video, but I didn't know that charring would be more sweet. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but charring gives you more of the vanillas and the caramels, while the toasting is going to give out more of that spice here, right? So these are both French oak staves. This one, again, it tells me up to 18 hours of the toasting part. I don't know how true that is, but this one is a lot different than this, and this is why I love MGP. I have, again, I've already said this, a bunch of MGP on my shelf behind me, and no one bottle seems to taste the same as the other. There's stuff that's really good, there's stuff that's decent, there's stuff that's $150, and there's stuff that's $45. So it's just crazy the diversity that you can get from the same company. But let's go back to this glass over here. This is really good. I do think this one's better though. I almost should have done this blind. I went into it thinking that I was just going to love the Penelope better and it was going to be close, but I was going to like the Penelope better. But I mean, these are really close. I might give the nod to this one when it comes to taste. I feel like it gives me a little bit more sweetness than this particular one over here. And again, I did not think that was going to be the case. I also get like some fruity notes on this, which is a different type of sweetness, but a sweetness nonetheless. There's like a granny smell, like the green, what are the green apples called? I don't know what those are, but that green apple note on this. I mean, also, this is 104 proof versus 100 proof, and this drinks more like 107 proof, and this drinks more like 97 proof, so that's a 10 proof point difference when it's really only 4. This definitely drinks a lot easier than this one over here. This one giving me a lot more spiciness. Again, this gave me a lot of spice, but the spice, the French oak stave finish on this is standing out a lot more on this than this one. While the influence is still there, I do get the sweetness behind it, which I think I enjoy a little bit more. As you know, I'm a sweet tooth guy. The question that I had coming into this, though, is it $30 better? And it's not. I mean, it's just not $30 better. I think this at $65 is still a little bit tough to me. Again, $60 maybe, like my max, especially in today's whiskey world where I can't afford. I got 2 babies, I got diapers to pay for, I got all these things that I have to take care of, the rising prices of it. I'm not trying to get political, I'm just trying to tell you what I'm going through right now. Things are expensive. It's harder and harder for me to see these price tags and say, yes, I'm going to buy that at $100. $100 for me when I was first getting started in this hobby was like top line, best whiskey that's out there. Now you're talking $250 for some of the best stuff. Now you're talking $100 for an average bottle. So again, $100 for an average bottle seems excessive. $65 in today's market, and with the consumer feeling the way that he does, I think that's expensive. I understand where they're at, right? They got to make their money as well, but $95 is definitely too expensive. $65 is teetering on the top edge of things. I do like this glass better, if that gives you any indication. If you like the Penelope and you want to try something different, I do personally like this glass better. I think it gives me more. I think it gives me some sweetness that I'm not picking up on the Penelope, but I just don't think it's worth the $95. But listen, that's all I got for you for our Bourbon Bomb of the Week. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you a toasted guy? Are you a charred guy? How do you like your whiskey? Or do you like it just straight up? None of that going on in it. Cheers. But listen, if you like this type of content, make sure you click that like and subscribe button here on YouTube. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Go click that follow button over there. We have a lot of fun things coming up in April and May you don't want to miss out on. Make sure you follow me on Discord and our Patreon. Both those links in the description below. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly. Stay healthy, stay happy, and stay trying more MGP whiskey. I promise you're not going to be disappointed. Cheers, y'all.